Since grass has become a life-changing commodity in the northern part of Ghana, through the efforts of Professor David Millar, grass could be used for a paper. Grass could be used.
I did it. They are doing this to make a charcoal. The good charcoal.
They want to consume fertilizer more. Instead of them teaching us how to reduce the dependence on this fertilizer, they are rather encouraging us to consume more without taking into cognizance the cost.
I believe that whatever we are doing as a people, as a country, we must use endogenous approaches. Endogenous approaches would mean that let's resort to the use of what is readily available to us. Chemical fertilizers are largely imported formulations. We don't produce fertilizers in Ghana.
The biochar we use as challenge to fertilize the land before planting. We have seen that it will be more sustainable than that of the chemical fertilizer or the inorganic.
We are able to get a fertilizer to revive our lands that are no more fertile. That is through the training of the biochar.
You know, as farmers, some of the challenges that they have is the high cost of inputs. And by input, particularly fertilizer, is very expensive for most of our farmers.
For us, what we are looking at is that with the kind of innovation that we are seeing here, what it means is that we should be able to mainstream biochar into our mainstream agricultural production.
The concept of biochar has been around for over 2,000 years, dating back to the slash and burn agricultural method practiced by ancient civilizations. However, the modern understanding and application of biochar as a tool for environmental management and climate change mitigation have developed significantly over the past few decades. The term biochar emerged in the early 2000s in conjunction with growing concern about soil management and carbon sequestration. Since then, research and development of biochar technologies have accelerated, with various organizations and initiatives promoting its use as a sustainable solution for environmental and agricultural challenges. Some notable milestones in the development of biochar include: in 2001, the International Biochar Initiative was established to promote the use of biochar for environmental management and climate change mitigation. In 2009, the IBI published a report highlighting the potential of biochar to mitigate climate change by sequestering carbon in soils. In 2012, researchers began exploring the use of biochar as a soil amendment, improve soil fertility, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. In 2024, the Biochar Basic Series was published, providing introductory information on biochar used as a container substrate component. Today, biochar is recognized as a multifunctional material with various applications, including carbon sequestration, soil fertilization, water filtration, and the contaminant immobilization. However, despite all these years of biochar existence, no scientist or researcher has come out with the innovation of grass biochar. Fortunately, following the skyrocketing increase of chemical fertilizers and some other farming inputs, which has become a huge challenge for farmers, especially in the northern parts of Ghana. In a groundbreaking development, Professor David Millar of Millar Institute for Transdisciplinary and Development Studies MITDS has introduced Grass Biochar, an organic fertilizer with the potential to significantly combat climate change while promoting sustainable agriculture. This innovative product harnesses the power of biochar derived from grass to provide numerous environmental benefits. One of the key advantages of grass biochar is its ability to store carbon in the soil for extended periods. By converting grass into biochar, the carbon is locked away, effectively reducing atmospheric CO2 levels and helping to slow global warming. I visited Professor David Millar to throw more light on this innovation.
Use on grass has become a life-changing commodity in the northern part of Ghana through the efforts of Professor David Millar. Grass could be used for a paper. Grass could be used for a charcoal. Grass could be used as biochar. Africa, rejoice. Since grass has become a life-changing commodity in the northern part of Ghana through the efforts of Professor David Millar. Grass could be used for a paper. Grass could be used for a charcoal. Grass could be used to biochar. Africa, rejoice.
Prof, please, I want you now to throw more light on this wonderful innovation.
The concept of using biochar is not new. Again, is one proposed solution to organic farming or organic fertilization. So the idea is to transform organic matter into such a state that it can be applied quickly and it will be available for the crop easily. Because the normal composting takes a while, and our farmyard manure even delays a bit more. So the biochar is a suggested alternative for organic fertilization. As for inorganic, the chemical fertilization is not favored. But then there's no documentation on the use of grass in doing this biochar fertilization. So this innovation, based on the same principle, we have transformed grass, again, that is supposed to be a nuisance into a soil fertilization product. So that's what we are applying right now to increase the fertility of the soils.
What actually gave you this idea?
I'm a researcher, so I keep researching, and it's my interest area to do green agriculture. I've always been a believer of green agriculture. Green in the sense that instead of going chemical, you use organic material to green the farm system. Because I've known as an agriculturist that chemical fertilizer fertilizes the crop. But organic fertilizer fertilizes the soil. And our problem is with soil fertility, not crop fertility. With chemical fertilizer, you can grow in a pot. You just put the fertilizing chemical in a pot and grow the plant. But then it doesn't reach the soil. And this area, our problem is the fertility of the soil and not so much of the crop. The crop is just a symptom of one of the deficiencies in the soil. But the real causal effect is the soil fertility and not crop fertility. So that led me there. And as a researcher, I've been looking for appropriate, what I call appropriate solutions to local farmers' intervention or their enterprise. So that took me there. Yes.
So this actually will go a long way in helping our farmers who actually could not afford the chemical fertilizer. Is that one of your thinking behind this particular innovation?
You know, ironically, the cost of fertilizer, the increase in the cost of chemical fertilizer is good for me. But I don't want them to use it. So if pricing can price out the chemical fertilizer, it's beautiful. It's good for me. So if government can double the price of chemical fertilizer or increase it to whatever level so that it becomes a disincentive. But then when you are doing that, you provide an alternative. For me, that is how policy should go. If policy is towing down on one end, there should be an alternative to the policy. So we are working on this possible alternative so that you need large quantities of it to cover the commensurate area. And since it might be difficult for farmers to get a large quantities, we advise them to apply them in rotation. Because the biochar takes about 3 years to peak. But the chemical fertilizer is an annual application. So when you apply it, you can apply it on one piece of land and move to another and leave the first one and move to a third and leave the first and second. Then after the third, you can now come back. So you see, in the end, by the end of things, the 3 cycles, you will have covered a large area. Yes, but the best is to apply the maximum you can. But if you have limitations, genuine, then do them in rotation, application by rotation.
What is your expectation as far as this particular biochar innovation, grass biochar innovation is concerned?
My expectations are that farmers will pick it up.
Okay.
And if they do, then they will, the second level will be policy re-engineering, because there are a lot of policies already. You don't need to formulate new policies. Even at the district level, you can design, review the policy in such a way that the emphasis will move away from the chemical fertilizer to organic and especially biochar. Okay. That's what I expect. So, and it could go places.
The Millar Institute, with the support of the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO and AROCHA, has embarked on a mission to empower women in rural Ghana. The project, which has reached 11 communities across 5 northern regions, aims to train women's group in the production of grass biochar, a revolutionary organic fertilizer. The impact of this initiative has been nothing short of remarkable. Women who were once struggling to make ends meet are now equipped with the knowledge and skills to produce a valuable resource that enhances their livelihoods. The training program, led by experts from the Millar Institute, has been meticulously designed to ensure that women acquire necessary skills to produce high-quality grass biochar. From harvesting and processing grass biomass to producing and applying the biochar, the women have been empowered with comprehensive knowledge. The enthusiasm and dedication of women participating in the program have been inspiring. They have formed cooperatives, shared knowledge, and supported one another in their journey to become grass biochar producers. As the project continues to expand, the Millar Institute, FAO, remain committed to providing ongoing support and guidance to the women in Ghana's agricultural sector. As an interesting group, I proceeded to seek the view of the national president, Mr. Wimpia Awal Adagula. he expressed strong support for the innovative technologies and indigenous solutions that harness the benefits of organic fertilizers, notably Grass Biochar.
We in the Peasant Farmers Association are in support of any technology or any indigenous innovation that will develop organic fertilizers, particularly also looking at other areas like the Grass Biochar that will go a long way to support farming in this country. So for us, we are in support of any organization, any individual who has the knowledge, who has the technology to develop all these organic materials that will go a long way to increase the fertility of the soil, that will go a long way to improve on the quality of the soil that can support plants, that can support plant growth to increase on our production. And for us, we call on the government of Ghana to also intervene, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, to support any technologies, particularly indigenous technologies that are used in the development of the biochar, that are used in the development of organic fertilizers, to help us reduce the cost of production. Because if you look at these chemical fertilizers, we spend a lot of money on them, and all these fertilizers are imported into the country, and this importation also depends on the exchange rate, and that is why the prices of the chemical fertilizer keep rising. So we will support any technology that is within the country that will help us to produce organically. Mind you, we are promoting agroecology, we are promoting organic farming, so any material that will support the peasant farmers, the smallholder farmers in Ghana, to improve on the quality of the soil without destroying it, then we are in for it.
Alhaji Zakaria Fuseni, the Upper East Regional Director of Agriculture, has expressed enthusiasm for Professor Millar's Grass Biochar innovation, describing it as laudable and welcome. This endorsement is significant, especially since he acknowledged that the Upper East region has one of the poorest soils in Ghana.
I think the idea of biochar is very, very laudable. Laudable in the sense that we are caught up with climate change. And climate change affects almost every sphere of agriculture, be it the soil, water resources. So thankful our man, Professor Millar, who is championing the idea of biochar. I must say, in fact, it's highly welcome, in the sense that in this part of our region, in this part of the world, Upper East has one of the poorest soil you can think of. And we have, our mainstay is just the agriculture. And agriculture will thrive well on soils that are good, that can support plant life, including livestock. So, in recent times, farmers are complaining of high cost of fertilizers, that's the mineral fertilizers. So now that he's bringing the idea of biochar, I think biochar is very, very important. It's very, very good. It's an organic fertilizer that even lasts in the soils far, far, far better than the mineral fertilizers. In fact, so in the absence of any other thing, I think it's highly welcome that we should give or support our man, that is Professor Millar, to champion the cause of this biochar, and which I think when it's produced in large quantities, at least, if nothing at all, for the sake of our vulnerable farmers, the smallholder farmer, they can start using it.
Professor Opon Setre of the School of Agriculture at the Bolgatanga Technical University concluded that Grass Biochar is a groundbreaking innovation that will contribute significantly to addressing climate change. Its potential to support sustainable agriculture, reduce fertilizer costs, and promote environmental sustainability makes it a game changer in the fight against climate change.
So an idea to harvest the grass and convert it into a biochar is a welcome one. It ensures that there's sustainability, it also ensures that the skyrocketing, the fertilizer costs would be taken care of or will be addressed, and it becomes advantageous to farmers in our region. Look at the rainfall pattern in the region. We have the unimodal rainfall pattern. So that is one rainfall season, and so for a long period of the year we have drought, and so any innovation that will contribute to reducing, or supporting farmers to be able to increase their production, and it's a welcome innovation.
The widespread use of chemical fertilizers has led to a toxic legacy, putting human health at risk. Exposure to these chemical fertilizers has been linked to a range of diseases, including cancer, chronic toxicity, and reproductive disorders. The impact of chemical fertilizers is far-reaching, contaminating not only the body but also water and air. Direct exposure through inhalation and injection can lead to severe health problems, including respiratory infections, anemia, and multi-generational reproductive effects. The statistics are alarming. In developing countries, chemical fertilizers pollution has resulted in approximately 10,000 deaths, severely impacted the health of 40,000 people. Farmers and their families bear the brunt of this pesticide crisis, making urgent actions necessary to control the application of chemical fertilizers and safeguard human health. The need for the intervention is clear. Reducing our reliance on chemical fertilizers and promoting sustainable agricultural practices is crucial to protecting the health and well-being of individuals and communities worldwide. Adam Jebril, the union chairman of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAWU, ICOS chapter, has thrown his weight behind the groundbreaking fertilizer innovation that promises to revolutionize the agricultural sector.
This innovation, I believe, if implemented, will help farmers a lot. It will help the soil, it will help in our health situations, and probably it will even help in bringing down cost of inputs that farmers spend on season after season, year after year, which is the bane for all farmers. So I think it's a good innovation that must be received with all arms. But with this innovation, knowing that the organic manure will stay in the soil much longer than the chemical fertilizer, I think it will be the best for us going forward into the future.
In the Upper East region, one of the women's group that has benefited from the biochar innovation is Mataba Pizam Women Farmers Cooperative. In the Talensi district, I engaged Lydia Miela, the executive director.
We are based in the Upper East region, working with rural women farmers who are made up of widows, single mothers, orphans, and school drops out. Our main focus is about the environment. And when this technology was introduced to our women, I was very happy because through the FFF project, we have acquired a land. By the grace of God, the Yamruga chief gave us a land where we have fenced it. So the demonstration of the biochar was done there. And the women that I am working with are women who cannot afford certain inputs for their farm. So when they came and introduced this technology, we embraced it. We have demonstrated it in our farm. We have even demonstrated in our poultry farms, our backyard gardens. And we encourage our women to use it because we know that when there's enough biochar on the soil, it absorbs water. Okay. And on Upper East is a region where we have drought issues. There we don't have enough rains. So imagine you put it on your land, the little rains that can, it means your crops are going to be made, you get a good harvest. Okay. So we are encouraging our women that it is very good, and we have demonstrated it in our backyard garden. Commercializing it is something that we are going to do it because it is next year we pray that if you want to buy biochar, you can visit Mataba and they will start measuring it in bowls for people to buy.
Wonderful.
So it is a very good technology and Mata will receive it wholeheartedly.
That's okay.
As part of the AgriCord Alliance visit to the Upper East region, I had the privilege of accompanying Jenny Oman, a renowned agriculture and gender expert from Finland, on a tour of local farms. During our rounds, I sought her opinion on the biochar innovation, a sustainable agricultural practice gaining traction in the region.
I would say it has to do with that the biochar, it takes usually a couple of years, maybe 3 years, for the full potential of it to actually start working. So they will continue with the experiment for a few more years, and they are looking at the level of yield. So they will also look in the third year then, how does the yield look where they have put biochar. So this was a very, very nice experiment to see. Important is to take what is available locally and also what is affordable and concentrate on that, because everyone cannot afford the chemical fertilizers, and it's also not the best option in terms of long-term sustainability.
I've seen some initiative on sustainable agriculture like biochar, and biochar is something that is an agricultural practice that farmers should develop because it's a sustainable practice that allows plants to grow in a good condition, and also like a practice that allows this to protect the soil. But people are still using chemical, and I think this center is a very good center to learn more about sustainable practices, and people should come regularly to see what they are doing. I've seen biochar, I've seen compost. It's mainly agroecological practices that are developed here, and I think if farmers learn more from this center, they can apply in their fields, and agriculture will feel better in this area of Ghana, and hopefully in the whole Ghana country when the practices are disseminated at a large scale.
Another organization that has collaborated with Millar Institute is a group known as Ghana Federation of Forest and Farm Producers. Mark Agbarobo, the Executive Director of Terebere, is the GAFAF National Secretary.
From all across the ecological zones, that is the Savannah Ecological Zone, the Forest Ecological Zone, and then the Transition Zone. And what we've done together is to be able to form a national federation called the Ghana Federation of Forest and Farm Producers. So GAFAP is collaborating with Millar Institute for Transdisciplinary Studies in exploring how we can do some of these things in the communities. And I think we'll be working with Maxwell and the rest of the team in terms of how we can support our farming communities to be able to do things that can bring about livelihood options and also improve upon the agricultural production. And one of the areas that we have worked in is grass charcoal, which we have already talked about, and the new thing we are working on is also biochar. And we are very excited. We have tried something small on our field, and we are seeing the difference that it is making in terms of how the biochar, it's also beginning to support especially agriculture, fertility, and then production systems.
For over the years, we know that soil fertility has become an issue, and it is affecting a lot of yield. We know that land degradation is also a key thing, but we also know that there are alternatives that can improve and translate all those challenges into opportunities as well. And one of it is the application of the Grass Biochar concept that the Millar Institute has introduced. over the years that there are a number of FFUs that have benefited from it, and in interviewing the women, especially who have been part of the innovation, they've always said that anytime they apply the biochar onto their land, they see difference. Last year, those that we trained, especially if we want to come down to our Philo community where we've been working with Millar Institute in introducing this particular technology, we see that the last visit they did, some women were able to give testimony of the difference that of when they applied it against when they didn't apply it. So for us as an organization, as a federation, it's something that investing in it we are very proud of, and we are very also happy that Millar Institute as a learning organization, as a very innovative institution, is taking it out and making Africans become the Africa doing things that we really need instead of the things that we want.
Dr. Maxwell Ban is the Biochar project supervisor at the Millar Institute. He explained that their wish is for the biochar innovation to be recognized across board.
We think that why biochar, because we think that the environment, our land is already degraded for so many years. The nutrients is not in it, and rural farmer is suffering. The cost of chemical fertilizer is high, and if you look at chemical fertilizer, it's meant for the crops. It's not for the soil, but biochar is for the whole soil. And statistics shows that biochar can be used for 3 years.
Okay.
When you spread it on the land, you can use it for 3 years in the research. Are you getting it? And biochar is already being used everywhere. And the most important things for biochar is environmental sustainability, climate change mitigation, and then protection of the land. And we also realize that using this grass for the land for biograss, the cost is less. Even accessibility of fertilizer is not there for rural farmers. So that is what.
In a bid to explore the efficacy of biochar innovation, the Millar Institute conducted an experiment during the 2024 farming season. The institute decided to apply biochar differently alongside chemical fertilizer to monitor their progress. Despite the farming being done on the same day, the application of chemical fertilizer and biochar was staggered to allow for a comparative analysis. A month into the experiment, I accompanied Professor Millar to the farm to assess the progress. The visit aimed to provide valuable insight into the performance of biochar versus chemical fertilizer, shedding light on the potential benefits and challenges of this innovative approach to sustainable agriculture.
It's only biochar. This is the first application of the biochar. So plot A, which we are looking at from that tree to the end, is only biochar.
Okay.
Now plot B is chemical fertilizer with maximum dosage of NPK and sulfate of ammonia. And this is plot B. Now, you remember I said most often the chemical fertilizer is for the crop.
Yeah.
So you see how the crops have performed. Now look at what is even happening to the crops now. You see some leaves are beginning to turn grey.
And that is the chemical one.
Yes, this is the chemical one.
Okay.
But the organic, the biochar one, there's no leaf that is showing this sign. Okay. So although this leaf might look taller and greener, but you see they are suffering from some deficiency. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So you see what has happened to the chemical.
Yes.
So it's interesting that although they look taller and greener, but they are even fighting a certain deficiency. Meanwhile, the one that is relatively less tall and less green and less populated has no problem like that.
Okay.
Now the third plot is the one we haven't applied anything at all.
All right.
So you see that here the crops are suffering a bit. They are less impressive as compared, and that plot starts from here.
Okay.
Starts from here. So this is the normal land.
So this place, nothing has been applied to it.
No biochar and no chemical fertilizer. So you see the performance of the crop is not as impressive as the others.
Yes.
But it also is not suffering the deficiency. You see.
That we have witnessed from the chemical.
From the chemical one.
Fertilizer, okay.
You just see that they are suffering more than, I don't know what will happen next, but it's very strange that these results are coming up. You see.
I see.
So even if this color change is detrimental to the crop, and it will be, then I would rather not put anything at all.
Okay.
You see my argument? This one will be far less, but then it will be all clean. This one will be the most yielding, but it is suffering a deficiency. And I don't know how this will affect the seed. You see, and farmers have a tendency of keeping their own seed from the crop. So they keep this seed and you are sure it's relatively fine. They keep the seed of the biochar and it's even better. But they keep the seed from here and they are not sure what will happen. But all the entire area has been given the same seed.
Okay.
It's not that we discriminate.
Or the same seed.
The same seed. The same local maize seed. The same.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So for us, this experiment is eye-opener. Although literature has mentioned it here and there, but it doesn't come out very convincing until you do it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. So we expect the farmers, communities where we are dealing with, the farmers that will do similar comparisons.
Okay.
Already, most of them have told us that they don't have the chemical. So what they will be doing is the biochar against nothing.
Okay.
Which is also fine. You see.
That's right.
So that is the action we are in. And this is just the year one. So it means if we leave this place without any application, next year if we farm again, this might be the same like this.
Okay.
We are sure the biochar would increase because now it has stayed in the soil for 1 year.
Okay.
So it will increase in its discharge of soil minerals.
Okay.
But then the chemical fertilizer one would drop seriously. So it's good to keep these pictures and monitor them.
Okay.
So that we can do year by year
comparison.
or year on year comparison.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Biochar is a game changer for farmers. The widespread reliance on agrochemicals such as chemical fertilizer in Ghana's agriculture sector has severe repercussions on crop productivity, soil health, human well-being, and biodiversity. Although agrochemicals have contributed significantly to increased yields, their detrimental impact necessitates immediate attention and actions. To address these challenges, a multifaceted approach is crucial. This includes 1. Regulatory measures to control agrochemical use. 2. Public awareness campaign to educate farmers and consumers. 3. Adoption of biochar method to reduce agrochemical dependence. By implementing these strategies, Ghana can mitigate the adverse effects of agrochemicals and ensure the long-term sustainability of its agricultural sector. Ultimately, this research by Millar Institute emphasized the critical need to integrate environmental and human health consideration into agricultural policies and practices. By doing so, Ghana can foster resilient, equitable, and sustainable food systems that prioritize the well-being of both people and the planet.
Nuisance grass has become a life-changing commodity. In the northern part of Ghana,